Welcome to Who's the Daddy with Alexandra K, the podcast where we talk about all things single mom by choice. I'm your host, Alexandra, and today I'm joined by Brittany. You want to say hi, Brittany?
Hi, how you doing?
And today we have a really great conversation, so let's get started. All right, so tell us about yourself and then tell us how you decided to become a single mom by choice.
I recently turned 38. I'm in the Chicagoland area. I have one daughter. She will be one in about 2 weeks.
Okay.
I started the process of having her, I want to say like the fall or late summer of 2021.
Okay.
What led me to get there though? You know what? Years ago, so maybe my early 30s, I would always kind of tell people, if I'm not in anything serious, I'm just going to go the donor route. I did kind of say it a little bit facetiously. I don't think people took me seriously.
So did I.
Because I was like, well, I won't have to. That'll be last resort. But then I hit like 34, I want to say, and I was like, well, this is something I might have to do, especially if I'm considering having multiple children. So I started down that path almost 4 years ago.
Yeah. Okay. So around 34, did something happen that kind of pushed you to say, I'm not going to keep thinking about this. I'm just going to go ahead and do it?
Well, I mean, I was, involved with someone, but he was, is much older and wasn't trying to move forward and have kids.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't really met anybody, and I felt like I was in a better place, like career-wise, financially. Plus, I don't think you're ever in an ideal place, so to speak. So
right.
I was like, well, let me just pull the trigger and just see what. And I knew it was going to take time anyway. I knew it would take some time. So I kind of wanted to get the ball rolling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when you finally decided that you were going to go ahead and become a single mom by choice, what conversations did you feel like you needed to have? And what conversations did you feel like when they find out, or if they find out, they find out?
Oh, it was mostly the latter. I didn't have very many conversations.
Yeah.
But I had told my parents when I had the egg retrieval. So this was a little bit later on in the process, maybe 2 years ago. So I let them know that I had the egg retrieval, but that was really it. So I didn't involve them extensively in it. And I think just a lot of people kind of unfamiliar with it,
Mm-hmm.
don't really know a lot about it. So I didn't talk extensively with a lot of people at all. Once I actually got pregnant is when I was like, hey, having a baby. And like I said, the people closest to me knew how I went about it. A lot of people, still don't. But there were not a lot of conversations. I think I didn't want anybody to kind of like talk me out of it.
Mm-hmm. Or have anything negative to say.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that it's not super common, especially amongst women of color.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just keep it to myself. Plus, I know there's gonna be a lot of trial and error. It's not gonna necessarily be successful right away. So it can be just difficult to discuss things, and then they don't really go the way you expect them to go.
Right. So let's talk about your actual path to like becoming pregnant. So how did you choose your donor? What criteria did you have?
I would love to say I had a ton of it, but so
oh god,
the initial time. So in order for me to do IVF, I had to be authorized. I had to be approved, so I didn't have to spend tens of thousands of dollars. So essentially, insurance had to look at me as being infertile, even though I'm. So I first did the intrauterine. I did 3 rounds of that, which failed.
Okay.
And then that's what made insurance say, okay, well, I guess she's infertile. Let her do IVF. Because of and you're familiar with the time frame, I would go into the doctor and they would say, hey, everything looks good. You can go ahead and overnight the vial, the sperm. And so I went there the first time, the first IUI, overnighted the sperm. Second time when I went back to do it, it was all gone. Like that donor was gone.
Oh no.
So I had to pick a second donor.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I didn't go the option of purchasing it and putting it on
It's
ice.
expensive.
It's very expensive. So anything that was additional or a la carte, I was just like, I'm not doing it. So each IUI, I had a completely different donor.
Oh, wow.
I wanted to make sure that I had someone who was preferably African American, or at least half,
Mm-hmm.
someone who had formal education. Um, that fourth time when I went to do the first IVF round, when they
Mm-hmm.
did the egg retrieval and I made the embryos, I had a fourth donor. So I
Oh,
used four
wow.
total.
Okay.
So then that means each round of IVF, I had the same
Donor.
person because I
Mm-hmm.
had the embryos.
Right.
Yeah, but
So how
I've
many?
had four.
So how many? Well, actually, let me go back. So you said that you pretty much had to see, well, prove according to insurance that you were infertile, so that they would cover your
Yeah.
art cycles. So it's interesting that they consider that infertile, because I've always heard that it could take like 4 to 6 tries with an IUI. Did your reproductive endocrinologist talk about that at all?
So the IUIs I did with my gynecologist, he
Okay.
did inform me about the success rate, but once we hit the third time, he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna refer you to a clinic,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll let them take it from there." I agree with you. I never inquired about that. They never really said like, let's keep going and see if it works
Mm-hmm.
before we move on to IVF. But I was grateful for that because I really didn't want
Exactly.
to. I didn't want that delay. And in
Right.
the end, I paid for the vials of sperm, obviously, which is a little bit over $1,000. I paid for like a copay for those
Mm-hmm.
hospital visits when I did like the egg retrieval and the embryo
Mm-hmm.
transfer. And then I started paying maybe a year ago for them to freeze my embryos.
Oh, store them. Yeah.
Yeah, to store. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's it. I did
Okay.
not like all that other stuff, the medicine, everything was covered.
Oh, yes.
Unless
So
I have
that's
a
how mine was
surprise coming,
also.
it was covered.
Right. Y'all come in a year, 2 years later. But
Well, they do that.
right. So talk about your stats. So people, every time I talk about I did IVF or having done IVF, people always want to know my stats. How many follicles did you see? How many eggs did they retrieve? How many were mature? All that stuff. So like 5 day. And so did you do PGS testing?
So I did do some testing.
Okay.
Oh my God, it was so much going on. I mean, I feel like I was being poked and prodded every day of the
Oh, of
week.
course.
So I did the testing. They retrieved, I want to say 52 eggs.
Oh my goodness.
I think I overstimulated myself a little bit with the shots. So they retrieved 52.
Oh my
They ended
goodness.
up with maybe like 20 embryos that were good. Yeah, 20 because I have 17 left.
No.
I have
Do
17.
you know that I'm the only person I know that has as many embryos as I have until I've met you. So so I had 15, and so you said you did PGS testing, right?
Yes.
So you have 17 after. Wait, you have 17 left.
I have 17 embryos left.
Oh my gosh.
I
Do
know.
people ask you for your embryos?
No, no one's
Do
ever
pe-
asked. Have
if
people
pe-
asked you that?
Yes.
I feel
Yes.
like, you know what? I hate saying it's weird because obviously people donate sperm and I've used that. But
These are complete children in my
these are
head.
actually children. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, no. So,
No.
okay, so do people know that you have this many embryos?
Mm, yes.
Oh,
Yes,
okay, okay. And
but my close friends are the ones who know.
got it. Okay, so
So
they're
they're
probably
not
not going to
like,
ask you anyway, right?
no. I haven't like told. I know you have a decent following, so you shared a little bit more, so
I
more
share a
people
lot,
probably
yeah.
know that. People in general do not know that, so I imagine if I said something, they would. But I think
Well,
it's
they're
just
going to know now.
it's odd. I can't do that. I don't want to be
No,
walking
I
down
can't.
Michigan Avenue and see the kid that looks like me. No.
I feel like my kids are so unique. And I get it. I'm biased. I'm their mother. But I feel like they're so unique. I just can't fathom them living with someone else. Like, I just can't imagine it. So I have 13 more embryos, and they're
Okay.
PGS normal. And yeah, so they're just sitting on ice waiting to see what happens.
So the first year, because my daughter's name is Harper, so I did that transfer July of 23. And up that first year, the first 12 months was free. So they stored them for
Okay.
free.
Okay.
And then I just started paying last year. And it's about $1,000 to store it. And
No.
yes.
You need to find a new storage place.
Do I?
Cause,
Is there a
cause
cheaper
I
option?
pay. Do you know I pay $50 a month?
Oh, wow. Well, what am I doing? It's about 900, nine something.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
I may look into that, but you know what? At this point, I feel like I'm at the moment where I need to decide, am I keeping them or not?
Right.
Like, am I actually going to do this alone or again?
So again, you're the first person that I've met that has as many or more embryos as I do. So
Mhm.
what's your plan? If you because you're clearly not having 18 kids.
No.
What's your plan?
So, ideal plan. The ideal plan and what's probably going to happen plan.
Mm-hmm.
Ideal plan is I'll end up with someone. So if I want another kid, I'll just have the kid natural way. The other option is that may take some time, the relationship thing. So, and I don't think I can do another baby by myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I would end up throwing them away. And I
Mm-hmm.
hate that. I don't want to do that. But I
Mm-hmm.
mean, at some point, most of them are going to go in the trash anyway, because like you said, I'm not having 18 kids.
So something that I looked into that maybe you want to consider, I found a clinic that would let me take my embryos home because I really don't
Oh,
trust that they're going to throw them away. Not the way people have just been asking me for them on the internet. I don't think they're going to throw them away.
oh no. You know what? That's a that is a thought.
Let me message you.
No, please send me that information because
You could take them home with
I
you.
I don't want to, again, 5 years down the road, I really don't want to be walking
Could
down
you
the street.
imagine?
The kid
Or
is on my,
In Harper's classroom at school or something?
you know what? And I already have that concern
Yeah.
because I know that this donor has had other contributed to other pregnancies.
Mm-hmm.
So I already have that concern. That's why I was asking you about the meeting the siblings thing. Because I
So
was like,
I wanted to talk about that. Have you met any of, so I call them sister moms, my
okay,
sister moms. Have
okay.
you met any of your sister moms?
I haven't. You know what? I just started thinking about it when you were talking about it.
Okay.
Because I don't even, do I need to ask the clinic if that's an option? I think I do.
So your clinic should have a sibling registry. You go
Okay.
report, I don't know, some clinics allow you to report your pregnancy and then you report the birth. And then
Mhm.
once you report the birth, you get access to the sibling registry and you're pretty much in like this chat room with only people who've used the same donor as you. So
Oh,
then, like myself and my sister moms, we exchanged emails and now we're in a Facebook group together. So all the
okay.
kids like see pictures and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna look into that. That's my thing to do. I was just trying to survive the first year. So that's my thing to do this year. Because I do want to know. I mean, I think
Yeah.
I understand I've chosen an unconventional method.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want Harper to be like, oh, I have siblings, but who are they?
Right.
That kind of
And
thing.
it's interesting because my daughter's brother has started saying like, oh, I really, so his moms will message us on Facebook and tell us like, oh, he's really interested in knowing his siblings and he knows he has brothers and sisters. He just wants, so we do like FaceTime calls and stuff like that.
Oh, that's good. I
Yeah.
like that.
And
Yeah.
actually, Sloan went to his first birthday party. So he's the oldest. She went to his first birthday party and she was 6 months old.
Okay.
So
Okay.
those two started young. We met some of the others years later or months later.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so how did your family and friends that do know how you conceived, how'd they react or how'd they accept this news, I guess?
You know what? It was like nothing really. It wasn't really a big deal. I have another friend who just recently had a baby using a very unconventional method. So I think it's amongst my friends group. I think it's like, whatever.
Nothing. Yeah.
I don't think my parents were super surprised. I think they're just happy to have a grandkid. You know,
Exactly.
so it was more so an adjustment. For everybody
Mm-hmm.
during the pregnancy. And once I just had her, kind of like, okay, who's going to help? Where is
Right.
it best for you to be? That kind of thing.
Okay.
That's really it. Everybody
Yeah,
has
no,
time.
it wasn't a big deal for anyone that I spoke to either. I didn't actually make it huge news, but um I always try to compare when people are like very hung up on what their family's going to say. I always try and compare it to like teen pregnancy. Like
Mm,
they might be off a little bit when they first find
yeah.
out, but let that baby come out. As soon as that
No.
baby comes out, they're going to be obsessed. And
Yes, they are.
that's exactly how it was. So,
Yes, absolutely.
do you feel like you had to do any type of preparation emotionally or to like navigate this space, whether you're navigating like within the single mom by choice world or just like the everyday world and what comes with
Uh,
that?
I'm still doing a lot of adjusting
Mm-hmm.
emotionally, just kind of like, so when I was pregnant, no, I didn't do any type of preparation. Like I did the physical stuff for the her room,
Mm-hmm.
but like birth plans, picking out names, all that stuff, I was just like, listen, I don't have the energy. I'm tired.
Mm-hmm.
Once she got here, obviously that first 3 months was hazy for
A
me.
fog, right?
Yes, so that was a huge adjustment. Even now, I'm always having to kind of sit with myself and think about, well, how do I really want to raise her? Or who do
Mm-hmm.
I want her to be around? Those kind of things. But it's just a day by day thing right now. It
Mm-hmm.
really is. Like I just taken and I'm a big planner, but I'm just taking stuff as it comes. So it wasn't like like I kind of sat back and really planned and thought about it and all of that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Even like with the siblings thing, that just kind of came up, and I'm like, well, yeah, I guess that's a good idea,
Mm-hmm.
especially for her. Uh, it might be a kind of a mental load for me, at least initially, but I'll see how it plays out.
I think you'll be surprised at how like nothing it is. Like
Hmm.
I think that people think like, oh, these women had kids by the same man. There's going to be some type of cattiness, and it's like, well, first off, it's not our man.
Yeah, that
He's
yes.
not mine. But also, it's just
Yeah.
like I don't even know if I think about the fact that like I know that they're siblings, but it's not running through my mind the entire time that they're with each
Mm.
other or they're talking or hanging out. It's just like I know that and I grew up in a family with like half siblings, step siblings. And so all of that was just like par for the course, I guess. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah.
it is what it
So
is.
when you see some of them and they have some features that are like your daughters, are you like, oh wow, like we
Mhm.
actually they
Mhm.
have a sibling in this, other state or whatever.
Yes. So it's really funny because so when I had Sloan, you know that they have very different skin complexions. That's probably the number one thing that people ask me about why or whether I use the same donor or not. But when I had Sloan, I linked up with a sister mom who had a daughter maybe two months within Sloan being born, 2 months before, 2 months after. When
Mm-hmm.
I say they look like identical twins, and it's crazy because the moms don't look alike. So I'm like,
And
how
I
do
was
they?
about to say Sloan looks like you to me.
Thank you. It's funny. It's funny. And then Sidra, there's a brother that looks. Well, Sidra, I guess he's older, so Sidra looks like him. And I'm like, it's like light eyes, light hair, light skin. And I'm like, well, and they all have the big ears, so they
So
definitely look alike.
Harper is her father is half Caucasian, half black.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a little bit lighter than I am, and I'm very light already.
Mm-hmm.
And her eyes are super light, and her hair looks almost reddish. And I'm like, where did you get this red hair for? Because he does not have that. I'm pretty sure he doesn't have that. But if I look at the baby picture of him, she looks
Mm-hmm.
like him in the baby
Mm-hmm.
picture. And her hair looks like his. And I'm like, damn it. I thought this baby looked like me.
So that happened to me the other day too because I don't show people my donor unless I'm just like showing a picture and it's on my phone and that's it. Like I don't send my
Mm-hmm.
donor to people stuff like that. But I was somewhere and I was talking to someone about it. I showed them my donor and she was just like she didn't know Sloane's name, but she was like Sloane looks just like your donor and I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Sloane looks like me." That's my
Exactly. So what are
twin.
you talking about?
Exactly. What are you talking about? And then Sloan has a sister that is like identical to her. So then it's like, well, maybe they do look alike. I don't know.
I'm telling you, I every time, and you know what? I don't do that either. I don't readily show him. I do have him like somewhere in my files on my
Yeah.
phone, but I also don't even have adult pictures of him. I was
Oh,
like,
you don't?
listen, no. I was like, this is the person I'm committed to. So honestly, it doesn't even matter. So I have those childhood photos. I haven't. I may get the adult photos, but I'm like, I'm pretty sure he's not far from this teenage picture. So we'll just roll with that.
So my donor had only baby pictures or like childhood photos, but
Mm-hmm.
I found my donor in real life.
Oh,
I did FBI
okay.
research. So
That's what
that's
I
the
need to
only
sit down and
that
do.
that's the only way I have adult photos because they were not on his profile. But
Yeah, I have the option of purchasing them, but I was just like, I'm not purchasing all the stuff right now. Let's
mm-mm.
just get this done.
Well, depending on which bank you have, some banks will send you their entire profile once you tell them that you've had a baby by your
So
donor.
they did send me some stuff, but I don't think it included the adult photos. So they kind
Okay.
of basically took a lot of stuff and zipped it up and emailed it to me, or
Okay.
said I have access to it.
Okay.
I don't think adult photos are included. I'll check again, but I haven't looked at his stuff in so long. I only look at it when people are asking me questions about Harper, and
Uh-huh.
I'm like, well, I don't know where that came from. Let me go
Right.
look.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You're like, let me look it up. I do that too. Like, let me go to the profile and look this up because I can't message this man.
That's it. Yep.
Okay, I have another question. What is something that you wish you knew prior to starting the journey, and what's one word of advice you would give to a hopeful single mom by choice?
Um, one thing I would say about the IVF journey itself, it's for me, it was pretty time consuming. It was very invasive. I did not know that about it. And I was
IVF.
kind of, yeah, I didn't know that. I mean, I knew about the actual, egg retrieval, embryo
Mm-hmm.
transfer, but all the shots and the medicines and me going to the doctor twice a week at like 7 in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
didn't know about those things.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a lot of time on the front end. But when I think back, like it went so fast. Everything just went like
It
that.
really
So
does.
yeah, when you're in it, it's like, oh my God, this is taking
Mm-hmm.
forever. And oh, I got to do another cycle. But it really
Mm-hmm.
goes so fast.
Did you document anything?
You know what? I didn't document anything, but I have all of the like the photos from because IUIs were unsuccessful, but the IVFs, I did get pregnant. They just weren't viable the first 2 times.
Mm-hmm.
So I kept like all of the pictures and the
Mm-hmm.
scans, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm aware of when everything happened.
Okay.
Single moms by choice, you know what? I would say just do it. I mean, there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
my main thing was I don't want to prevent myself from having a child, like prevent
Mm-hmm.
myself from having a family because I'm waiting
Mm-hmm.
on some ideal situation.
Yeah.
And I think that's still very common with women. I
Oh
think women
yeah.
are everywhere are still doing that.
And especially,
And
I think especially Black women,
oh yeah.
because I think there's like that added like single mom stigma, and then the added like Black people don't do this. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
so now let's switch gears and get to solicited advice. Each episode, we'll take a listener question and offer some real unfiltered advice. Today's question comes from one of our listeners, and they say, Dear Alexandra, I'm ready to move forward with becoming a single mom by choice, but I'm completely overwhelmed by the process of choosing a sperm bank and a donor. There are so many options, and I'm not sure how to weigh different factors. Should I prioritize health history over physical traits? Should I focus on CMV status, genetic testing, or something else entirely? On top of that, every bank seems to have different policies, pricing, and donor availability, which makes it even harder to decide where to go. I don't want to overthink it, but I also know this is a big decision. How did other single moms by choice approach this process? What really matters when choosing a donor, and what should I not stress over? Signed, overwhelmed by options. So what do you think?
That overwhelmed me too.
You're
I don't know just listen to it. No, I'm not a person who likes a ton of options. I like a solid 2 to 3.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like a ton of options. So I ended up going with California Cryobank. And I
Okay.
don't know if it was I don't know if it might be a doctor that recommended that bank. I'm not really sure.
Okay.
But I'm the kind of person that's like, listen, if my doctor says this is a good bank, I'm going to go with that. So I didn't even really do a ton of research. I had looked at another one, but I didn't see a ton of options. I mean, there's not a lot of black male options to begin with, but there were fewer at that other bank. So I said, you know what, I'm going to go with California. So I would just say if you're in conversation with your gynecologist or whomever and they have a recommendation, they usually do, I think it's fine to just go with that one. I treated the donor thing kind of like dating almost. So what are my non-negotiables? So if I really want my daughter, I'm short. So if I want my daughter to have some kind of height, I'll choose that. The person being educated and having been involved in a lot of activities was important to me as well, because I've been, and I want that to be the case
to be
for
active.
her. The whole medical history thing, as long as it wasn't anything too extreme, like his mom and dad and both grandmothers on both sides have had cancer.
Listen, when they gave all of the genetic possibilities, like all of the genetic, what are they called, like disorders or abnormalities?
Yeah.
That was stressful. So on some of these sperm banks, just so the listeners know, when you click on a sperm donor, if they have a genetic disorder, like a pop-up will show up at the top of the screen, and you have to click and acknowledge that they have a genetic disorder before you move on. That was one of my non-negotiables. I didn't want to have to click and acknowledge any genetic disorders.
Yeah.
So that was one of my non-negotiables. I preferred a black donor. I really wanted an intelligent donor, like super intelligent.
Yeah.
And my donor said that he was so good at math. And so I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I think mine is
that's the one. I was like, that's the one. Yep. He's smart. And then you can listen to their they're like, their conversations. Yeah. And so my donor never sounded like someone that I'd be like, oh my gosh, I want to date him, I want to go out with him. But he did sound like he's probably going to like pique my interest, like flex my brain a little bit. You know what I mean? Like he was like having a good conversation. And I was like, well, I could have a conversation with him. Yep. And it's so funny that I prioritized like specifically math, because I'm not good at math. I'm good at numbers and stuff like that, but I'm not good at math. Do you know that Sloan is already doing addition?
Good.
And I'm like, we were at Wegmans yesterday, and we're in the line, and she was saying 6 + 7 equals, and I don't know if she said 8 or she just didn't know what it was. And I said, well, I held up like my hands. I'm like, well, this is 6 and this is 7. So it has to be at least 10 because there's 2 5s. And I like walk around the cart to pay. And the cashier's like, you're teaching her math? How old is she? And I was like, no. She watches number blocks on YouTube. This is not me. And this is more the donor and YouTube. Okay. Like, don't give me credit.
Listen, I mean, I was really good in school, but I was like, I would like to increase her chances and make sure this person is as well. So at least when at the time that the information was posted, he was working on a PhD. So that was important to me. He seemed to be like pretty well rounded activity wise. I wasn't like I didn't want to make a huge deal about height, but I was like, he should at least be average height for a man.
Wait, what's average height, Brittany?
I think isn't average height for a man like 5'9"? I think it's 5'9".
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. So I was like, at least that. And that was really like it on the physical side. With the medical history, I had to send my stuff to the clinic just so they could make sure that what I was positive for, he was right. So they'll do that for you anyway.
Yeah.
But I mean, if he said something like, well, one person on my family side, like a grandfather, had like diabetes or something like that. If it was just like a one-off thing, I didn't pay much attention to those because I expected those things. Like I didn't expect a clean bill of health when it came
Right.
to family history.
Yeah, not your
Especially
entire
not when
family.
we're discussing Black families. So I expected some things. And I was like, all right, whatever. I'm not going to pay too much attention to it. I will agree with you that medical history can be overwhelming.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think a lot of it is just you don't know what's important to look at.
So I did also, so it shows like extended family. So like it'll branch out to your mother, your father, and then their siblings, their parents, stuff like that. So one thing that I did want to make sure of was if there was something that was consistent, like within multiple family members, I wanted to see that it was like lifestyle choices or like environmental choices, you know what I mean? So
and not genetics.
Not just like, yeah, everyone's getting this same thing and there's no telltale sign as to where it's coming from.
Yeah.
All right, so before we wrap up, I have one last question for you. So the title is Who's the Daddy? And we know that this is one of the most common questions we're asked when people find out that we're single moms by choice. So if you're asked who's the daddy, how do you respond to that?
Oh, Lord. So I have two responses. So if I know these people, let's say co-workers, for example, because they do check in and ask about Harper. Sometimes they'll ask about the dad. I don't have a problem telling them. I'm like, oh, you know, I conceived Harper through IVF, through donor sperm. And they're like, oh, okay. And that's just it. Like, they don't make a big deal about it. I do have people, though, that I don't know at all that ask. And I'm like, it's kind of a long story. But essentially, Harper does not have a father. That's what I've said.
And what do they say?
Well, someone asked me yesterday, and he was like, oh, okay. Like, he sounded confused, reasonably so. And I said, you know what? I'll detail it for you a little bit later. Because it wasn't an ideal time for me to really talk through it. So I said, I don't have a problem detailing it for you a little bit later in a different setting. But I'm just like, it's just Harper. It's just me and Harper.
Yeah,
I conceived her through IVF.
Right.
Yeah. And most people will accept that if I feel like they're confused and they want something further. Like I said, I'll delve into it at a later time. Yeah. I don't have an issue really talking about it. I mean, the only reason I haven't talked about it on social media is probably because I'm lazy and don't want to devote the time. I don't have an issue discussing it really.
Yeah,
like,
not
hey,
typically.
You know, I don't care.
Okay. So that's it for today's episode. I want to thank Brittany for being my guest today and sharing her journey. And I want to thank everyone for listening.